Hi, and welcome to Chapel Hill Maker. I'm Rachel, and I love knitting and making here in beautiful Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I am so happy that you could join me today. I think it's going to be a quickish episode, sort of just your regular old podcast update, and I'm looking forward to catching up on what I'm working on. Life has been lifing, and so it has been busy and hectic and unexpected and all of the feelings in the last couple weeks for us. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy that you could join me. And if you have been joining me along the way, welcome back, and I'm so happy to see you. If you want to find me outside of this box, you can find me on a different box, Instagram and Ravelry as Chapel Hill Maker, and I would love to continue the conversation there. So give me a shout. So I'm going to get right into it. Today I am wearing the flock vest that I just recently finished by Andrea Mowry. Show this off to you a little bit close up. So you can see I'm wearing it with some white pants and a pink t-shirt. And let me get in close so you can see these stripes. To discuss are these unbelievable buttons. I can't believe I forgot to talk about this when I first recorded this. Just look at how cute these are. These are from Holland Hoof. I think they're called Holland Hoof Farms, and they are a stoneware ceramic button. And I ordered these from Brooklyn General Store because they were out of stock at Holland Hoof. But I'm so glad that I did. They came really fast, and they just totally make this project. I feel like I should be like in 1995, not even 1990 maybe, going to the roller rink for a party, or I don't know. It just gives me such early 90s vibes, and the buttons to me are just the shining star in this. This was just an expected delight. I can't say unexpected because the minute I saw it, I knew I needed this vest in my life. And so it worked up really fast, and it was kind of what I needed right now. It was this, just one step above mindless make because of the stripes. I had to pay a little bit of attention. But it was so rhythmic and so just drew me right in, and I had the best time. I talked about previously the best time picking out colors for this. This all came from Stash, and the yarns that I used for it is the cream color. The main color is from EchoView Fiber Mill, which is a mill in Western North Carolina that's no longer in business. But it's their yarn called Bunny Paca, and it was an alpaca, angora, and merino blend. And it is so buttery soft and so lovely. It is warm, so I don't know that I'll be wearing this all summer long, but it has this gorgeous halo to it, and just adds another extra little layer of delight to this project. And then my contrast colors are Pearl Soho Cashmere Merino Bloom, which is a cashmere merino blend. And their colors are lovely. They're just sort of on the more muted side, but saturated, has a tiny bit of a heathered look to it. And I don't know about you, but I have this like weird thought in my head when I pull things from Stash that I'm like, ooh, I'm knitting it for free. I guess if it sits long enough in my stash, it's sort of, that purchase is kind of off the books in my mind. And so that adds another level of delight, although still ordering new yarn brings me delight too. So I think I just love yarn. And yeah, so this was, you start in the back, you pick up, look at these cute, I don't know if you can see here, let's see. You pick up this cute little spot here, you work in the front, and once you get below the underarms in the front sides, you join, not in the round, but you join to knit the whole thing flat for the rest of the way. And so I chose to do the cropped version, and you knit about 7 inches down, and then it was about 2 inches of ribbing. And I would say it grew when I blocked it maybe a ½ inch or so. So the fit is perfect. I think if I did it again, I might add a few more rows before the ribbing, but I don't even know. I knit this a little bit off gauge. Now I'm blanking on what the gauge was. I can put it up here, but I ended up, I think, with a 20 stitch gauge with DK weight yarn, and Andrea used worsted weight. So I just did a little bit of gauge math, and I ended up going down a size to make. And I was nervous the whole time because it was sort of squinched up a little bit before I blocked it. And especially these shoulders were like that. And as soon as I soaked it and laid it flat, I knew it was going to be perfect. So I love this just so very much. So I can't wait to see all of the other ones online and all of the color combinations. And I'm already sort of dream knitting my next one. So I think that is my only finished object for this time. And I've been not quite finishing things as quickly as I normally do. We are in just a crazy busy season of life right now. I have a daughter graduating from high school next week. Oh my gosh, it's next week. And in 10 days. So yeah. And all the things that go along with the end of high school. We were getting ready to host close to 100 kids here before the prom on Saturday, when for family photos and all of that. But my daughter sadly woke up with stomach pains, and we ended up in the emergency department and came home later that day with out her appendix. So sadly, she missed her senior prom and has been recuperating this week, which has added another layer of challenge to all the feelings that come with finishing high school and moving on to that next stage of life. But she has been an absolute champ and just a really good sport about it. And so I'm looking forward to getting to celebrate her a little bit more in the next coming weeks with graduation parties and graduation day and family coming into town and all of that. But it has resulted in slightly slower output for knitting, as you would expect. In addition to that, we have been super deep in hockey, and I've talked about before on this podcast that I bring a knitting project to every hockey game. And so I have what I lovingly call my MOFO, my mostly finished object, and that is my Carolina Hurricanes socks. And I have been knitting these. This was my second round of the Eastern Conference Final, my second round of the Stanley Cup Finals, or the Eastern Conference Final socks, and started this. Worked on the foot last night at the first game of the Stanley Cup Final, which did not go our way, but was still thrilling to be there. And so I don't do the toe while I'm in the arena. So I'm going to finish these in the next day or so, but I'm planning to gift them. So I wanted to share them here. So hopefully it's not backwards, but this says Go Canes on one of the socks. I don't know, am I totally covering it? Who knows? And on the other is hockey sticks. So I'm planning to give these to the sweet woman who works in our section where we sit. We are longtime season ticket holders, and she greets us at every single game with hugs and high fives and all of that, and makes our experience just that much more fun. So I'm looking forward to gifting these to her as a little memory of this very exciting season, no matter how it ends up from here. So that is my mostly finished object. And moving along, I am test knitting a sweater for a new designer called Ashley Sauder, and she is local here in Chapel Hill. And I met her through another test knit for Alicia Plummer, I think it was, a couple years back. And she is an incredibly talented sample knitter, test knitter, and now knitwear designer. And so I'm so honored to be testing her first design. So this is an all-over texture and cable sweater. I'm knitting this in Fiber Spates Cumulus, and it is a Surrey alpaca, and it's got a really nice bit of loft to it. She knit the original sample in Explorer Knits Fiber Company in their Surrey, which is stunning. And I, number one, was impatient to get started on it, and number two, had a gift card to Wool & Co. And so I found that the Fiber Spates Cumulus had the same fiber content makeup as the Explorer Knits, and it's 74% Surrey, 26% silk. And the color that I'm using is ruby red. It is a beautiful cranberry red, and I think it will be an awesome like holiday sweater to wear. I believe it's coming out towards the end of the summer, maybe July, but I've really enjoyed testing this for her. She is a very technical and creative pattern writer. It's been pretty smooth sailing this whole time, which I am completely impressed with considering it's her first design. And let me show it to you. Oh, it's stuck, sorry. So here we go. So it's a saddle shoulder, and it's called the Solstice Saddle Shoulder Sweater, which my mouth does not like to say because I get all tangled up, but it is a beautiful saddle shoulder construction, which means you start with these little cables right here on the shoulders, and they will go all the way down the arms, and then 3 beautiful cables that go all the way across the body, down the body, in the front and in the back, and seed stitch everywhere else, or moss stitch. I just picked up for the sleeves. I like when I'm working on a sweater, especially one like this where it's so light and airy, which it is so light and airy. I like to do the sleeves and the neckline before I finish the body, just to see how much lift I'm gonna get from that once I've done it. And also it's a kind of a nice distraction from being on Body Island to just go and do something a little bit different. So she gives you the option to either do a folded neckline or a standard picked up ribbed neckline. For now I have the standard neckline done, and I left the last stitch sort of live in case I change my mind and decide that I want to go ahead and do the folded. But I think for right now, considering the climate that I live in, I'm gonna see how it lies and go with this for now. But she also gives you the option of a cropped body versus a full length, and cropped short sleeves versus long sleeves. And so my current school of thought on it is that I'm going to do kind of a hybrid between those. I'm going to do a somewhat cropped body and 3/4 length sleeves. So that remains to be seen once I start trying it on and see how it goes. But Sawyer does not like a UPS truck. Sorry. So yeah, once I kind of get through the pattern and I see how that goes and I see how I feel about how it fits, I'll make those decisions on the length of the sleeves and the body, which is another reason that I like to not finish the body before I go and do the neckline and the sleeves, so I can make those design choices as I go. But yeah, she's been great to test for, super receptive, really creative. She's created. Okay. So I had a doorbell ring, dog go crazy, fire engine driving past. Hopefully now it's smooth sailing, we'll see. I thought it was just because a brown truck was going on, and Sawyer really likes to bark at the brown trucks, but I have no idea even where I was and what I was saying. I think I was just wrapping up my talk about testing for Ashley. It has really been so much fun, and I can't wait to get to the point where I can try it on and see how it's going to look. It's been a great test. She's created a really nice group of people on the Discord group, and I've thoroughly enjoyed testing for her. Again, I sort of slowed down on it this past week with all of the stuff going on in our family. I found that cables and keeping track of my rows was just not in my wheelhouse while I was kind of spending a few days on party prep and then party moving and then sitting in a waiting room and helping my girl get back on her feet. So yeah, so that is the Solstice Saddle Sweater by Ashley Sauder, and I think you guys will love it. I can't wait for it to come out. Okay, so as part of my time while I've been sort of helping my daughter with her recovery and all of the stress, I found that it was like a little bit hard for me to knit, which normally nothing kind of makes it hard for me to knit, but it has not been hard for me to dream knit. So I have spent a lot of my energy that I would sometimes be spending knitting looking at patterns and looking online for yarn and trying to sort of come up with what I want to do next, which I have so many projects on the go right now that I don't need to do anything next. I could not cast another thing on and still be busy for the next several months, but there's no fun in that. So okay, so I've been doing a lot of dream knitting and trying to figure out what I want to do with my future, some of the yarn that I have in stash and some of the, if I wanted to make any purchases. So one of the things that I talked about a few weeks ago, I bought this Sadness Garn Line from our local yarn store during LYS Day. And I'm really excited. It's a color that I haven't worked with before. I don't think I have anything in this sort of whiny, Merlot-y kind of, I don't want to say it's purple, but I guess it is kind of on the purple side. So it's called Deep Burgundy by Sadness Garn, so we'll go with that. And I'm pretty sure that my next cast on with that is going to be the Yua sweater or tank. She gives you the option by Moonstruck Knits. And I did her Joni top, which I shared in my my summer recap video, roundup video last week. And I loved making that. And it's such a unique design. I'll put a picture of it up here. And I think it would just be a really fun knit. It definitely won't be a mindless knit, so it may take me a little while, but I'm up for the challenge and kind of excited about that. The other thing that I have been dream knitting about is the Norma blouse by My Favorite Things Knitwear. A few of us are planning to make that for Rhinebeck. I'm still undecided if I'm going to be able to go to Rhinebeck this year, but I'm acting as if I'm going. So that is what my knit group is planning to make as our Rhinebeck sweater this year. There may be a Rhinebeck vest as well, we shall see, but we're gonna do the Norma, either the pullover or the blouse, which is the DK weight version, which is the one I think I'm going to do. My friend Chris did that or is doing that for hers, and it's coming out beautifully. So I've had a lot of fun sort of looking through projects and getting different ideas for color combinations. And then I was outside yesterday and I looked up at the sky, and that was kind of all the inspiration that I needed. And I'll put my inspo photo up right here. And this time of year is when Chapel Hill, North Carolina really sings. The greens are so green, and the blue is just really a Carolina blue. And so I wanted to kind of capture that in sweater form. I don't have anything with that color combination. And so I think that's going to be my Norma. I've decided that I'm going to use linen quill from Pearl Soho, held double. It has a little bit of a halo, which is a nod to the mohair that she uses in her original pattern. The linen kind of gives it I guess it's the linen that gives it sort of that little bit of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a brushed look. And I've knit several sweaters with it, held double or held with mohair, and I've loved the end result. So I have some of the oatmeal gray in my stash, which is enough to be the main color. And then here I'm going to put up a picture of the sort of my cart with my inspiration in there. And I'm looking at the pickle green. Is it called pickle? It's pickle something. And the cerulean blue. So I think this is going to give me the sort of the feeling from my inspiration photo. And sometimes I do that a fair amount when I'm looking for ideas for pictures. I'll take a photograph and try to pull out the feeling that I get from that picture and put it into my yarn. I'm not fantastic at sort of just coming up with ideas in my head, and so nature tends to really be a place that I look to for inspiration. So those are my two upcoming plans. So I expect that I will have an acquisition for the Norma sweater pretty soon, and then all I have left are my active news cycle Avoidance, and that I've read or listened to 2 different books. One is called Wellness by Nathan Hill, and I still am not, if I had to give it a star rating, I don't even know what I would give. It's kind of a interesting book where not a ton happens, but a lot happens. It's the writing that I found really interesting, and the narration. It has sort of a 1990s Reality Bites kind of feel to it. I'm sure I'm dating myself by sharing that, but if you were around back then, you know what I mean. It's like it has a little edge to it, and it's about a couple who met in college in Chicago in the 90s, and then they find themselves, in modern-ish times, and sort of reached this point of stasis in their marriage, and they're trying to figure out how to get through that, and a lot of it really boils down to them figuring out who they are in order to know what they need from each other. And it's funny in parts and heartbreaking in others, and very sort of, they're a pretty raw couple who are trying to just figure out where they fit in the world, and they are navigating through a complicated period in their lives. And I thought it was so well written. An interesting study in kind of having to go back to move forward. So that was Wellness by Nathan Hill. And then the other book I just finished is The Unscripted Journal of M.M. Lyon, Volume 2. And this was a recommendation from Hannah G, from Hannah G Knits, and it hasn't disappointed yet. The first 2 were so much fun and a really fun distraction. They're short so far. They get longer, I think, as the series continues. And this is by Beth Brower, who's the same author as The Queen's Gambit. And it's in the late 1800s in England. It's a young woman who's kind of trying to make her way in the world. She's had a series of unfortunate events, but she's very resourceful and plucky, and it's written with some humor, and so it has like kind of a, Bridgerton, Pride and Prejudice kind of feel to it, where it's a lot about society and where she fits in it because she doesn't have an actual place anymore, and it's just really fun. It's super fun to listen to, so I recommend that. It's not where Wellness was kind of a thinker, Emma Lyon isn't. It's just plain fun. Lastly, I wanted to go to my podcast recommendation, and I was trying to remember if I had recommended this one before, and I don't think that I have. I think I put it in my podcast roundup around Christmas time, but I wanted to make sure to give him a special rec, and that is Jeff from Losing My Knit. And if you haven't watched Jeff yet, he is just so calm and chill. I would love to have like an ounce of the amount of chill that he has about his knitting projects and about having to start over or move forward and move backwards. He's very kind of zen about it, but he's also really funny and just has a cool, unique perspective on making. And I enjoy every single one of his podcasts. And he right now is finishing a sweater for the Loose Ends project, and I've really been in awe of how he's persevered on that and created something that is just purely a gift. And so go see Jeff. He's a fellow North Carolinian who lives in New England now, but I think you'll be happy that you did. So I think that brings me to the end. A good bit shorter today, and if you are in the throes of busy lifing, then I wish you some peace and calm and happy knitting. And I, as always, want to just thank you guys so much for liking and subscribing and commenting and sharing and hyping, whatever that is, and for engaging and joining and inspiring and all of the wonderful ings. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.